Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto is your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today because today we are going to show you that our economic system is a fraud. And it's important for us to understand, yes, we can exist within this economic system, fraudulent or not, but understand that it is a fraud so that as we go forward as a country, as we go forward as a society, that we can make the necessary changes to institute what will make it fair for everybody and not just for those who have capital, those who have a wrong agency, etc. But we have to understand and we have to learn. And just like Trump has allowed America to take the scab off of so much, even his Truth Central has allowed us to take off the scab of the form of capitalism that we teach here, what it really, really means. I mean, it is so important for us to understand this, folks. It is so important, and we are going to go over that today. We are definitely going to go over that today. Anyhow, welcome aboard, Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have in the house E2247 from all over the United States. We also have Lee Grant from Montgomery County, Texas. We also have Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York, upstate New York, that is. And in the house as well, we have, I'm scrolling up, AVQ, El Senor Michael Rudden from where again? Brooklyn, New York. Eric Hayes is also in the house. And he's in the house from where again? He's in the house from Atascocita, Kingwood. So we are well representative. We got Texas, we got Georgia, we got New York, and I'm pretty sure we are going to have from across the ocean as well pretty soon as more people come in. Let's see if we are queued up yet. I don't think we have all the queues in yet. If I look at my signals here, I notice that we are not all queued up yet. That is about to come when all this stuff gets materialized and people start coming in. Anyway, guess what happened? Yeah, Baltimore is a mess. You're correct. And you know what is so sad about it? I was on the bike cycling. I was cycling when not cycling, spinning. Judge Jules Winfield, my brother Ray is in the house. Ray, I put your stuff in the mail today, my dear brother. That went into the mail today. So I think you should have it tomorrow or the day after. I'm pretty sure of that, my brother. Anyhow, look, I'm an engineer and I understand. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer, but I understand these concepts. And it's amazing to me how we have built infrastructure in such a manner that puts it at so much risks. For anyone who looked at how that bridge fell, let me tell you what was very disconcerting for me. This bridge was built in sections of trusses, okay? Trusses are ways that you arrange beams such that they are in a lot of tensions and compression, mostly tension. If you take a look at how a truss is built, you create it in such a manner that you only need a little bit of material to hold on weight. You figure out where all the stresses are going to be, and you put the material in those areas of stress. Now, as I saw it, just looking at the bridge and the way it fell, here is what got to me. There were columns, right, where all the bridge stood. And each section was on the bridge. But unfortunately, it is clear that the way that bridge was built, they did not segment and make it easy for sections to break off, even as they didn't protect the pylons. I find that probably it was done economically, but I found that astounding. Let me give an example. Let me tell you why. As an engineer now, you have bridges. You have these trusses. These trusses go over several spans. These trusses on any given support structure, theoretically speaking, could be independent, such that if one structure is damaged, let's say that middle structure is damaged, right? The left side of the bridge comes down, that's holding on to that truss, and the other side comes down. But the other ones that are in suspensions, ideally, they should just break off. They didn't. And the reason likely they didn't is more than likely they were structurally attached. Notice I said structurally, not just aesthetically, but structurally attached to the other bridge, to the other spans. In a place of navigation, and trust me, I don't know if other bridges are built like that. My hunch is that they're all built like that for economic reasons. But the thing about it is, if you have an area that's being trafficked by ships where an accident like that could happen, one would have hoped that at least you protect a segment of the bridge. Think about it. If all those cars were on that whole mile-long bridge and the whole damn thing came down as it did, the amount of people that would have died, it's abysmal. And that was a federal highway, sir. I know where you're trying to head about. What about the infrastructure of Baltimore government? Get off of it. I know where you're going. Stop tingling with. I spoke to you, Eric. You have racist connotations in just the way you state that, okay? I know exactly where you're going because I saw it on the right wing already. I saw the right wing information, the right wing data that's been coming out, both of the mayor of Baltimore and a lot more. Stop it. You guys are full of it. All right. Let's continue. So as far as building that bridge, my brothers and sisters, ideally, even if you built that bridge the way it was, okay? Even if you build that bridge the way it was, here is a problem. You could have done what we've done here in certain parts of Houston. Each of those columns should ideally be on an island that extends out so that what that ship hits would be an island. And that island would have stopped or slowed down the ship. The compression of the solids may have somewhat displaced some of the column, but it would not have been as catastrophic as we had today and could have likely been repaired. Again, I sit down and wonder sometimes, who built these things, who engineered these things, because it doesn't take rocket science to understand, if you have any degrees in engineering, to understand the things that could be done. Anyway, I'm going to get off of that engineering subject now and talk about a great thing. But before we go on, let's go ahead. Bridge MCP says Republicans are facing criticism for attempting to blame the Baltimore bridge collapse on President Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on Tuesday after a cargo ship crashed into it. 6 construction workers are presumed dead. South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace appeared on the right-wing channel Newsmax on Tuesday when she was asked why are still old bridges and roads the U.S. are after passing the legislation to upgrade them, because we're not spending it on roads and bridges. She claimed, look at the 1.2 infrastructure bill and what it does a couple of years and left hails this massive success, but it was mostly Green New Deal. That's a lie. Actually, in that bill, $110 billion went to surface roads. Surface transport, which is roads and bridges, and the other 110 billion, 70 billion went to public transportation, leaving only 40 billion for traditional roads and bridges. Mace inaccurately described the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure bill, which she didn't vote for, but has taken credit for. It's a shame. These guys are shameful liars, and this needs to be addressed immediately. I hope that every time these guys come out and do that, they need to be addressed and point out that they are liars. They are utter liars, nothing more than liars. Welcome aboard, Ray. Oh, I saluted you already, Ray. Michael Rudnin is in the house. 6 presumed dead from the Baltimore bridge collapse. Okay, I got that. What else have we got here? Let's see. Paul Fleming says, ain't it funny that people who defend Trump defrauding the people out of hundreds of millions of dollars as victimless crime think that someone forging 20 deserved a death penalty. It's amazing, isn't it? All right, continuing. We have good afternoon, everyone, from Maywood. Maywood is from Long Beach, California. What else have we got here? Scrolling down. Thank you for keeping us up to date on Israel E2247. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said international NGOs must be allowed to deliver aid to Gaza unhindered, that the humanitarian situation in Gaza is hell. It's amazing that the former leaders of the Nazi did that, but it's amazing that it's Germany who's trying to tell Israel, you need to be humane with the Palestinians after what Israel went through in Germany, Poland, and other places. I find it just astounding. Eric Hayes, the current 1.2 trillion bill he voted, government has so much pork, 200 million for AOC earmarks. Keep looking for those things. Keep looking for the pork. Keep looking for the pork and miss the whole forest for the trees. All right, Michael Renner says, taking credit for legislation passed that they voted against needs to be called out whenever the politician does it. It's two-faced BS. You're absolutely right. Have a little bit of stuff that I got to drink here. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead now and point out. I don't have my stuff queued up. The videos I don't have. I don't have the videos yet queued up. I forgot to queue them up. So as we speak, I'm going to queue up the videos. I have two good ones. One from this morning. And I find it. Look, there is a young man that calls my program in the morning. His name is Brian. I like the guy. I think to some extent I have gotten to him. And Brian, if you're listening today on this 3:00 show, you know I love you. But Brian, there's something sick in the minds, just like our brother who spoke yesterday. The guest that I had yesterday, just like he spoke about the issues, John Pavlovich, just like he spoke about MAGA having a psychological problem and wanting to solve that by, again, giving these people a place to land, engaging these people, etc., which is what we do. In fact, Bridge gave a good story. I should play Bridge's piece again. What I'm going to do, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with Brian. Brian believes to stick it to the libs, he's willing to get a whole lot of Trumpsters hurt. I want you to listen to this. We'll take it on the other side. After this, I'm going to play Bridge's piece from yesterday. Good morning, Brian. How you doing, my brother?
Good. I just want to thank all the left wing for making Donald Trump $3.4 more billion. When he sold, you know how he did it, right?
Of course, I know how he did it.
But he got kicked off of Twitter. So he's smart enough to his own job, which is first off making the left very, very angry, and he made him $3.4 billion.
Okay.
So I just want to thank the left wing for all of that.
All right, let me correct you on one thing. Let me correct you on one. Did you want to say something, Howard, before I responded?
I say, $3 billion on paper.
Right, that's what I was about to explain. Let me explain this to you, my brother. Okay. Yeah. Not only that. Here's the funny thing. That is, I want the entire audience to listen to this because Brother Brian is thanking the left for getting Donald Trump kicked off Twitter so that he had to go create his own Twitter. But the idea that Truth Central has any true potential is a sham. Okay. Truth Central made a total of about I think it was under $5 million. Okay. And for that $5 million that it made, some other friend of Trump bought or capitalized it enough that it was worth now $7 billion. So here we go. A company that makes $5 million in revenue got a angel billionaire to invest in it and give a false on paper impression that Trump is worth $3 billion. Okay, but let's break there for 1 second. And listen to me, Brian. This is capitalist mathematics now, okay? Now, if you look at Reddit when Reddit went public, Reddit had a revenue stream of $858 million. Repeat, $858 million for Reddit. Trump and his Truth Social, $5 million in revenues, $40 million in losses. Reddit, no losses. Now, let's go one step further. All right. Reddit and Truth Central, I think their capitalization is about the same. Now, Trump is the smart one here. He's the crook. He's the one that's selling you snake oil. And Brian is talking about Brian is giving Trump kudos for using capitalism to create an instrument that ultimately is going to cost all the people who buy that stock when it crashes, because ultimately, if you believe a stock has some relative value to what it represents, meaning in the case of this stock, Truth Central. In the case of the Reddit stock, Reddit. Okay? Nobody uses Truth Central. We just use Truth Central to hear Trump's latest ranting. But everybody else uses every other social platform. His platform is a failure. And for that just shows you what capitalism is all about. You capitalize a company, whether it is successful or not. Back in the days of the internet revolution, they capitalized websites. You put up a website and it's worth billions, and then they'll talk about EBITDA, earnings before taxes, and whatever they would call it. Right? It's the biggest scam there is, and Donald Trump, as a scammer, participated. So, Brian, you are right. Trump is a very smart crook, and a lot of the people who would buy that stock, by the time it crashes, he would have cost the people who love him a lot of money. So you love Trump, go buy the Truth Central stock, DST, I think it's called, or DJT. Go ahead and buy the stock, because you know what? When you pay for that stock, all that $3 billion is going to go into Trump's pocket. And after it goes into Trump's pocket, when he sells that stock price is going to crash. Anybody want to place any bets on that? Your turn, Brian.
No, I'm just happy that he's smart enough to manipulate the system, pay off the exaggerated fine that the judge gave him.
And you're happy that are you happy that a lot of people who are going to put their money into that stock, which are mostly Trumpists, you're happy that they're going to lose their shirt as well?
Hey, if that's their money, they can do whatever they want to with it, right?
I repeat, do you think it is okay then for them to lose their shirt to support Trump by buying his stock? You don't mind that he's swindling his own people? Oh, it's a mathematical fact. It's a capitalist mathematical fact. It hasn't yet, but it will. It's a statistical mathematical fact.
I just want to say thanks.
All right, Brian. Brian, you have a good day, sir.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing it.
I find it ironic, right? That again, Brian then said, "Oh, okay, EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It is a measure of profitability. It's a scam. That's what it is." Because taxes and all of that, if you really want to measure true profitability, you must include interest. You must include taxes. You must include depreciation. You must include amortization. So you're saying it's a false thing. I remember the days of the when we had the internet bubble and everybody with a web page. I remember watching 60 Minutes, and 60 Minutes exposed a few of these guys when they said, wait a minute, what do you provide? What's your service? Well, we have a website, and the site, it's based on the da-da-da-da. They'll say all kind of crazy thing, and then they'll start coming out and you'll hear the guy say, well, we are basing it on the EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, and all these other things, right? And to some extent, and let me give you earning before tax and all of that means that we have all this influx of money coming in, We have to pay taxes and all of that on that money that's coming in. We have to, whatever our loans we have to pay back, etc. But we take that out. We forget about that. Forget about that. We're still making money. I mean, it's a fraud. Our economic system is a fraud. And just like Donald Trump exposed this cancer that continued to grow under the scab, that racism, sexism, xenophobia, all the scabs that Donald Trump removed off of a lot of Americans who thought they didn't have that disease anymore. He made it okay for them to reveal their most inner negatives, their most inner sins. And the same thing he's doing with the economic system by showing in clear terms what our stock market is about. It's a fraud. That you can go ahead and just create an imaginary company, right? Get a lot of money to capitalize, get people to buy the stock. The regular common man is the one who's going to determine what that stock value is. I mean, GameStop wasn't a good enough example, but because GameStop was a company already established, so they fooling around with those stocks and so forth. I mean, it didn't quite show the cancer because it was an already established company, GameStop. But Trump created this instrument, got this billionaire to help create this instrument that a lot of Trumpists are going to go and buy the stock, and some are going to make money because they'll buy it and sell it before it crashes. But those who hold on to it will get it to crash. There's one caveat. If for some magical reason he were to win the presidency, then the billionaires will hold that stock high until those who want to unload can unload it a little bit at a time, and then it will come falling down on all the suckers that believe in Trump later on. But you know what? The whole issue behind Brian, I wanted to show that there are some people that are so attached to an ideology, so attached to Trump, that they don't mind feeling the pain, or people like them, the other Trumpsters, feeling the pain just to give Trump a win. The thing about it is Trump doesn't need you to give him a win, but you do. Trump will screw you to get a win. Remember Trump University? Remember Trump Steaks? All Trump stinks fall on their faces, and they leave a whole lot of dead people in the back without caring about them. That's who you're supporting, those who support Trump. But you know what? People can change. Brian may never completely change. Brian is my friend over the radio, over the on-air radio. He's my friend. I like Brian. I am trying to talk to Brian. I'm trying to show Brian the light. Not I, but the people who think like us and who can prove the things that we prove, like us. Try to show Brian the light. And it works. It works. Because at the end of the show yesterday, our one and only Bridge MCP was able to relay a story that warmed my heart and should warm all of our hearts and should tell us that, yes, we must continue engaging all sides. We must continue keeping the conversation going. We must continue doing what we know is right. Because if we really love where we are, if we really love this country, if we really love our fellow man, we will never leave them behind. And that's how I feel. We won't leave Eric behind. We won't leave Brian behind. We won't leave CSEC behind. We won't leave Ledo behind. We won't leave Brother Grant behind. Because we love them because of who they are. Let's listen to Bridge MCP. I love what Bridge is doing. I don't know if she understands sometimes how powerful this story is. I'm writing a blog on this one to put up on Medium and on Substack. I don't know if she understands how powerful this is. Bridge MCP, come on in, my dear beautiful lady. How are you doing this afternoon?
Okay, how you guys doing? And
I'm doing fine.
Jay Ray said something about one conversation at a time. And I told you how I've been trying to work up here with people.
Yes.
It's very hard when you're a MAGA country. And we have a site for the town, and then we have an uncensored site for the town.
Mm-hmm.
The non-censored one, which I belong to both, but the non-censored, there's no politics in that. Well, I made a couple of posts in the last week or so that were not political, just stuff that was going on. And of course, people started saying, Biden did that, Biden lied. I mean, I made a post of a groundhog because it got 4 inches of snow and said I lied. And right away they said, yep, just like Democrats. And I was like, are you really seriously? You're going to make that political? It's a friggin' rodent. But anyway, one thing led to another. I know. One thing led to another. And a couple of people commented, and I didn't want to get involved because I got political, but people know them in town. And I listened, and then I commented. And before you know it, 10 people, not only liked my comment, but messaged me privately and said to me, we can't talk about this shit, but blah, blah, blah. So I told them about the Powell Manifesto and Project 25. And now I'm being bombarded by them all for more information.
That's what,
so that's
girl.
One thing. So I was like, that's making a difference. And then today I went to get my hair cut, and my hair cutter, I love her, but she's nuts. And she didn't tell me she was going to do this. She's an evangelistic. She's Republican, but she's reasonable and up to conversation. So she likes when I come in because she questions me about things that are going on. What does that really mean? Did that really happen? Stuff like that. And what she did today was, a sneaky little son of a gun, what she did today was bringing a full MAGA person. She made her appointments overlap and didn't tell me. And I noticed on the bumpers, she had a sticker on her gas tank that said, Biden did that. When I was going in, I was like, oh, I wonder who that is. And I went in, and it was that woman I didn't know. And right away, I said something, and she said, well, that's a freaking Democrat. That's Biden. That's this. And I said, whoa. I said, I'm not here to do politics. I'm getting my hair cut. But she went on and on. And I said, finally, look, if you want to discuss politics, I'm up to it, but you have to tell me true stuff. And she didn't. And she got angry and yelled. And she was screaming at me to the point that the hairdresser said, hey, Jay Ray, I see you say hello. And to the point that she said, you have to stop yelling. I said, well, that's how they feel their voices heard, that they yell at you. They think the louder they are, the more sense it makes. It doesn't. What you're saying is not true. And she got more angry and more angry. And each time I would slowly calm down and say, where did you hear that? I didn't hear that. She says, well, you must listen to MSNBC. I said, no, I listen to independent media and I do research. She says, no, everything out there is a lie. She just went, and my point is, she went on and on and on. Then my hairdresser stopped everybody and said, everybody shut up. And she's evangelistic. And she said, everybody shut up. We're all in the same boat here. You're going and saying to the woman, you think that man is a god. You worship him. He's not a god. He's a liar. I was like, ooh, she never said that before. And she went on and on about how Trump and all his crap. And I said, you're right. He is a liar. That's what he is. He's a liar, and you're falling for it. I said, what do you watch? Fox, Newsmax? She goes, no, I don't watch Fox. They're all liars. I watch Newsmax. I said, they're liars too. They don't tell you the truth. And anyway, we had to stop it. I said, look, we have to stop this because I'm going to need tequila. I can't do this. And I left and I went outside, had a cigarette. My point is that the one conversation at a time, and that I've been here 2.5 years, is slowly working.
Let me tell you something, Brij.
Jay Ray, and you.
Brij, I am so proud of you, girl. You would not imagine as you are speaking what's happening in my heart, man. It is like, yes, because even when the evangelical woman stood up for you, in effect, that's what she did. In effect, she stood up for you to say, and she gave other people in that store permission to listen to you, man. That is powerful.
She did it on purpose.
Yes.
When the woman left, her daughter came in. She owns a coffee shop right next door in the same building. And she came over and she said, "Oh my God," because she came in the middle of it all with a daughter, a baby. And she said, "Did you tell her that you planned this?" And I said, "You planned this?" She goes, "Yep, I planned it. I wanted her here and you here at the same time to see what would happen." And she goes, "You were great. You told her everything that was right. And some things I disagree, but you educated me. You'll never educate her."
Wow.
Ever. That's the way she is. She's one of those that you cannot help.
But you know what is so great about what happens there as well, Bridge? Because other people were listening in and they watched your character, they watched her character, they watched the interaction between the evangelical woman as well, who you had already imparted some knowledge on. That made a big change in these folks. And that's how it's done. You nailed it, girl. You nailed it.
Exactly. I stayed so calm.
You nailed it.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm starting to realize there's a lot more of me here than I realized.
Yes. So, and the fact that after you wrote that article, or wrote those comments, that you got private messages, you start to get the people thinking. I don't know if you recall, yesterday I spoke about the message that I replied to a woman who said it's Bidenomics. And then when we went ahead and went in a logical conversation, people started banging on it. So, I mean, you did the right thing. Thank you very much for this call. You made my day.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All right. Thanks, everybody. Right. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Hey guys, if you are on YouTube right now, don't forget you can hit that join button and become an official member of the PDR Posse on YouTube. Of course, you can also subscribe to our newsletter, all that good stuff I'll tell you at the end of the program. Anyway, but if you're on YouTube right now, just click that join button, become a part. It is worth it, and you keep us alive. Anyhow, now I wanted you guys to see that one from our sister Bridge MCP, because that is how it's done. Now, here is a part what I want to tell you about Truth Central now from the business group. Okay, this is from what's her name? Stephanie. I love Stephanie. Stephanie Rule. Stephanie Rule expresses in the kind of, she's a capitalist, but she explains that even, most capitalists don't do what they did with Truth Central, even though a lot do. So check this out, and then we will take it on the other side. Let me first say, I strongly believe in free enterprise. I strongly believe in democracy. What I definitely don't believe is the stock market is by any means a healthy institution for a democracy. In fact, it defies democracy. Whenever we try to make the assumption that there's some kind of direct correlation between capitalism, meaning the stock, in this case, the stock market, and how we capitalize companies have anything to do with democracy, it's a joke. The reality is it's a gambling system for those who control the purses of the country. I want you to listen to this because, Truth Central, I think, the DJT stock, that's a symbol of Trump stock. I think it's the best thing that we could use to show the fraud that is the stock market, and in that regards, all economic systems that are based on this particular type of institution. And the reason why is it shows that it can create the inference of wealth. But not only that, in the process of doing that, we see that it really means nothing. And in fact, likely for the first time for all eyes to see, it's how a president can be purchased. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Donald Trump's social media company traded on the NASDAQ for the first time yesterday. The stock for the parent company of Truth Social rose about 16% in its first day of trading, giving the company a market value close to $8 billion. Trump's 60% stake is worth about $4.6 billion on paper. Joining us now, NBC News senior business analyst and host of the 11th Hour, Stephanie Ruhle. So, Steph, can he somehow dip into all that to pay his legal bills, or is it not that simple?
It's not that simple, but he could make a ton of money off of this, Mika, right? He owns over 60% of this company, and right now it is all on paper, but you have the stock soaring. He can't sell his position for 6 months, but he can get a waiver and sell earlier. And that waiver might not be that difficult to get because his son and a bunch of his closest allies are on the board of the company. So you could actually see Trump monetize this. Now, where this thing is trading and the actual real value of this company are a zillion miles away from one another, right? You know, we've been saying it for days. They brought in about $3.5 million in ad revenue and lost tens of millions of dollars, right? They make less money than your average single operated cheesecake factory. However, it's trading at a really high valuation. You could see the company issue new shares, pay out dividends, and Trump could actually end up getting paid a whole lot of money here.
So, John Heilman, there are people out there, Democrats mostly, who think, man, Donald Trump just keeps getting away with it. And this is a moment where he's in real financial straits and voila, a lifeline seems to emerge, perhaps allowing him to get away with it. And it occurs, as Steph and I were talking here off camera a moment ago, this would be a pretty convenient way for someone who is trying to invest in the next president or try to make an off-the-books donation to Trump World. Well, you can do it through this company. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Steph knows a lot about the markets than I do. I will say we have people talk about the stock market as being the best reflection of the quote wisdom of crowds. You look at this and you have to wonder whether there's any truth to that whatsoever. This does not seem to reflect any wisdom, and I'm not sure it really reflects much of a crowd either. But Steph, I think whatever you and Lemire were talking about off camera seems like the reality here. This is a political hedge, right? For if you're a Trump friend, this is a way to do a kind of donation potentially to Trump. The board will, I would imagine, easily allow him the waiver that you were talking about before, given the way the board is stacked. But on top of that, if you're an ordinary investor or a Wall Street investor, are you not here just putting some money in Truth Social, which could be a very valuable company if Donald Trump is elected president in November? And suddenly you have a favored company in the social media sphere by the president, who will almost certainly not divest himself of any ownership. You suddenly got state media going here. That could be a very valuable investment. However, if Trump loses in November, man, I would not want to be sitting in the stock on Truth Social the day after Joe Biden beats him if that happens.
Yes, but I would say that it's twofold, John. You've got one crowd buying up this stock, and these are the meme stock boys, right? These are the Wall Street bets traders that flooded the market in 2019. All those bros on Reddit who are going to, take this thing to the moon. They could absolutely lose their shirts, along with people who are, pledging their loyalty to Donald Trump, the same people who are buying the sneakers and the Bible, who know it's a grift and they love it. Then there is this group of really smart Wall Street financiers, not your traditional investors that look at the fundamentals and say, I'm not going for this, but this is basically an options bet, right? If you're this guy who's been in the news for the last week, Jeff Yass, a huge Republican donor, he's co-founder of Susquehanna, an investment firm in Pennsylvania. He's the richest guy in the state. He's a huge investor in ByteDance, which is TikTok. Yeah, it makes sense as an options trader to buy this call option on a potential next president. You're still hedged. And guess what? If this works, this is great for you. It's an unregulated donation. And you've got the president, the potential future president, under your thumb.
I hope you understand this. The reality is the wealth created by that stock, DJT, for Donald Trump in this short term that he could that he could capitalize on if he can sell it without the stock crashing. Actually, if he sells it, some rich person that wants favors, if they believe he can offer it, will keep that price up. Remember, the price is valued at whatever somebody is willing to buy it for. And this is a backdoor way to fund Donald Trump, to pay Donald Trump off for whatever services he's going to render you without it having to look like a bribe, but it is nothing more than a bribe. Folks, the system, we've been speaking about the stock market and all these institutions being legalized fraud. I think DJT should be the example that illustrates that this entire economic system based on a stock market is nothing but a fraud.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
All right, folks. So please click that join button if you're on YouTube. It's worth the while. It makes us continue to do what we do. Anyway, from Bridge MCP, the president is selling a Bible, and it's the only Bible on the market that has the Trump authorization, that has the Trump oomph. All right. So don't forget, you need to get that Bible, Trump All-American Bible with his 10 special commandments. And what would those special commandments be, given that it is Trump? Well, thank you guys for putting this up. Commandment number 1, thou shalt not pay taxes. Commandment number 2, thou shalt pay off porn stars. Commandment number 3, thou shalt steal from charities. Commandment number 4, thou shalt not pay people. Commandment number 5, I am above thy God. Commandment number 6, thou shalt commit adultery. Commandment number 7, thou should commit treason in my name. Commandment number 8, thou shalt sell stupid shoes. Commandment number 9, thou shalt never accept a loss. And commandment number 10, thou shalt spray tan daily. And you can even read this Bible upside down from the Independent Tennessean. Thank you for that. I mean, a presidential candidate that sells golden shoes, colognes, a Bible. I think he would sell his mother if she were alive. I'm without words. I am without words. But remember, guys, what I said? I said that the 2024 election was going to be a landslide away from Donald Trump. And that means by default, it will be a landslide for Democrats. And how can we sit back and say that? You know how I know? The polls have been so scared to really poll people correctly, because they always think that Trump has some mystique, even though Trump has never won the popular vote. Candidates running under Trump for the red wave never materialized. In fact, it failed miserably. But somehow the mystique for Trump seemed to continue because of the fear of a bunch of chicken heads that run polls, that run the media, etc. That's why you have politics done right, folks. But anyhow, as I stated, for November, if the Democrats don't screw things up, we will have a landslide. And if you want the examples of why, look at every single election that has occurred thus far, midterm election that has occurred so far. Every single election that has occurred so far, Democrats have been cleaning house. And I'm not talking winning by percentage point or two. This woman in Alabama last night Her name is Marilyn Lands. She won by 26 points. And you know why? You know why? Because again, the policies where the people are or where progressives are. And with that, we're dragging the Democrats to be. Think about that. If the Democrats don't screw up, if the Democrats take the lead of the progressives, don't believe what they try to do with AOC and all these people. Don't believe that. I go ahead and ask people about policy after policy after policy after policy, and they all line up with progressives. All line up with progressives. Progressives need to march on and tell the story. Tell Americans what voting for progressives is going to mean, and what it really is going to mean. That's all we need. That's all we need to do, and we will win going away. When Maryland, listen to this, Maryland, a Democratic candidate for a state house seat in Alabama, not in New York, not in North Carolina, which is a bit more purple, not in California, not in New York, not in Minnesota, but in Alabama. Won a special election on Tuesday, defeating Republican Teddy Powell. Lands focused her campaign on reproductive rights, including support for access to in vitro fertilization and abortion. The election was for a seat in Madison City, and it was previously held by a Republican. Today, Alabama women and families sent a clear message that will be heard in Montgomery and across the nation. Our legislature must repeal Alabama no exceptions abortion ban, fully restore access to IVF, and protect the right to contraception. Land said in the statement, Alabama has a strict abortion ban, just like we have here in Texas. And a February Alabama Supreme Court ruling declared that frozen embryos are people, imperiling access to in vitro fertilization in the state following the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe versus Wade in 2022. Land's opponents supported the state's abortion ban. This special election is a harbinger of things to come. Republicans across the country have been put on notice that there are consequences to attacks on IVF, from the bluest blue states to the reddest red voters are choosing to fight for their fundamental freedoms by electing Democrats across the country. Heather Williams, president of the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, told Politico. Democrats see Lands win as a sign that supporting reproductive rights could continue to be a winner in November. Not could, is a winner for November. Even in deeply red states like Alabama. You know what? Everybody loved their freedom. Don't let them fool you with these caustic issues. Ultimately, you know, this is what I was talking about, people voting against their own interests with Reverend Barber. I want you all to listen to this. I should really go ahead and find that clip from Reverend Barber. I asked Reverend Barber, why do people vote against their own interests? And Reverend Barber told me I was wrong. He said, Egberto, people vote their interests. But to vote their interests, they have to vote. Not only to vote their interests, they have to vote, but you have to make their interests available to them. And that's what he's doing with the Poor People's Campaign. Right? So no, he corrected me. Reverend Barber said, nope, people are voting what they think is their interest. It's for you to make their interests available to them. Maryland's victory demonstrates that voters aren't going to sit idly by while MAGA Republicans lay the groundwork for a national abortion ban. But it's more than an abortion ban. It's a new patriarchal, women controlling, people controlling way of being. And it won't survive. We are looking at a Democratic landslide. And it's funny because I've said that several times. And I finally heard a Democratic pundit says, This election seemed to him like the Reagan-Carter election in reverse, where it was very close between the Republican and the Democrat, and right near the election, it all went south for Carter. We know why it went south for Carter. We know that the shenanigans that Reagan did. The difference between this election and Carter is that Biden has a posse. I don't want people to think that Biden has a lot of money, because just Truth Central alone, the billionaires may prop the stock up enough that Trump can sell the stock in September and put a lot of money to saturate every market. So I don't want people to be thinking, this big advantage that the president has. It's no big advantage, really. One billionaire can solve that advantage with transferring one transfer of money. What we have to work on is policy and get people know that this is intrinsic, right? This is intrinsic. So again, as it turns out, my brother and sister, remember, there is a democratic landslide path made for us to drive through. We can choose to drive through the path of a landslide, or we can choose to fail. Again, if we choose that path, every candidate thus far, every candidate that has run, what we picked up in New York against that clown that was running, the guy who was the con artist from New York with the Spanish name, I forgot his name. You know who I'm talking about? With the Portuguese name. We won that, turned that around completely. We also beat every single race that we went on. We won. I want you guys to remember that. And none of the polls said that we were going to win in the manner in which we won. Whether it was the abortion amendments, not amendments, but the abortion referendums, or the politicians who ran. We beat them all to the core, and it's going to happen again in November if we follow the path. If we follow the path leading to a landslide, that is what we will get. So it's our choice. It's our choice to determine if we want that landslide. It's our choice. And I'm sorry that CSAC is going to get some heavy heartburns. CSAC is going to probably want to move to Russia after November, because not even what Putin is doing for Donald Trump is going to work. All right? Not even what Putin is doing for Donald Trump is going to work. So anyway, we're getting close to the end of the program, and it's time for me to do my ask. I want to ask all my people to please support the program. How can you support the program? There are great ways to support the program. You can support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. Politicsdoneright.com/support, spelled, well, that it's easy. Politicsdoneright.com/support. That has all the different options in the manner in which you can support our platform. And our platform is going to be extraordinarily important as this election goes forward in informing both on air and on the internet. So we need your assistance to make sure that we can keep this going. You can also support us by actually subscribing to our newsletter, and not only subscribing to our newsletter, but sharing our newsletter. Our newsletter has expanded with users. Let me see how many users we have subscribers we have right now. I think we have, I was noting that this week we got a big influx of subscribers, unpaid, but a big influx of free subscribers. And what I'm asking many of our subscribers to please become paid subscribers. It's very simple. Just go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and become a paid subscriber. It is inexpensive, and it really, your coffee a month allows us to do a lot of things that we need to do. We have zoomed up to 8,821 followers, 8,500 subscribers. but only I'm looking at the paid subscribers are sitting at 73. We need about 10 to 15% of these subscribers to be paid to not break even, but to kind of get there. So if we could, I ask you kindly, if you're not a paid subscriber of our newsletter, it comes out every morning at 5, and then we send you blog posts, etc., throughout the week. We have something great to tell you. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I just stuck it in there again to become a subscriber. Now, you can also support us by getting my new book or any one of my other books. My new book is called Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Racism did not stop my smile, hope, or journey forward. This is the book for everybody, no matter who you are, your ethnicity, no matter, you are going to read these stories. And I don't tell these stories in some malicious fashion. It's a matter of fact. And I think you're going to say, wow, perseverance, that can help me too. So consider getting Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. And how do you get that? Just go to politicsdoneright.com/books. Politicsdoneright.com/books. And you don't only have that. At that location, you have all my other books. So you have 5 books there that you can choose from. And a lot of them, including How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors, etc. But again, please consider becoming a subscriber, a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And I'm going to put that link in there one more time before we exit, because we've got to exit right this minute. Anyway, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I end it by saying, I am what?
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.